In a world of stark reality, let us become open to the wonders of childhood and enjoy the precious blessing of this day. Dolores will light our chalice this morning. Those of you at home are also invited to light your own chalice now. Percolator. Thank you, Dolores. Edith Wharton wrote, "There are two ways of spreading light, to be the candle or the mirror that reflects it. Let us spread the light in whatever way we can." Before we sing the first hymn, let me remind our remote participants to leave yourselves muted. However, we do want you and whoever is with you to sing with us as big and loud as you like. Make it a joyous experience. Please stand in body or spirit and sing the opening hymn with heart and mind, number 300.
With heart and mind and voice and hand, may we this time and place transcend, to make our purpose understood. A mortal search for mortal good, a firm commitment to the goal of justice, freedom, peace for all. A mind that's free to seek the truth, a mind that's free in age and youth, to choose a path no threat impedes, wherever light of conscience leads. Our martyrs died so we may be a church where every mind is free. A heart that's kind, a heart whose search makes love a spirit of its church, where we can grow and each one's gift is sanctified and spirits lift, where every door is open wide for all who choose to step inside.
Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist community of Cambria. I can tell this is going to be a fun day. We are primed and ready. We are glad you've joined us today. Our UUCC sanctuary sits on land that the Salinan and Chumash indigenous people historically inhabited. We honor their contribution to this region and give thanks for the opportunity to gather in faith on their unceded territory. Let us respect their legacy and protect their history as we occupy this sacred space. As Unitarian Universalists, we celebrate religious diversity and welcome all who journey in search of faith and spirituality. The UUCC is a lay-led congregation run by the democratic process. We invite speakers from different religious traditions and spiritual or scientific backgrounds to speak at our pulpit. We encourage presentations covering a variety of topics and areas of interest that connect with the UU7 principles. Today's service centers around the first principle. We affirm and promote the inherent worth and dignity of every person. My name is Mary Ann Anderson, and I am your worship associate for this morning's service. I would like to extend a special welcome to today's guests and visitors. We're glad you've joined us this morning. If you wish, please raise your hand and introduce yourself or your guest. If you're not on our mailing list, please visit the UUCC website at uuccambria.org so that we can keep you informed about all of our activities. Members and friends, please check out What's Happening, the e-blast sent to you every week. This is a great way to keep up to date with our latest news. If you wish to see this or any past Zoom services, the recordings can be found on the UUCC website and on Facebook. So again, good morning and welcome to everyone. The affirmation is both a recognition of the nature of this community as well as a promise to which we aspire. Let us now recite the UUCC affirmation. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its prayer. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in freedom, and to help one another. We set aside this time for any special announcements that would be of interest to our UU community members and friends. Please keep your items short and to the point. If something needs more explanation, contact the person after the service. And if you would like to make an announcement, please raise your hand. When Randy or I call your name, please step up to the podium and unmute yourself, then speak. I have an announcement to start. Next Saturday at my home on Romney Drive, I'm going to be having a flash pop-up sale of clothes and items and jewelries. It's a $5 sale. Half of the proceeds will go to the United Maui Strong Foundation. For your information, if you're interested, please contact me. Dolores?
Okay, so this is a test to see if you're reading those newsletters, right? Okay, so what's happening on October 8th?
Pictures.
Okay, good, right? And try to wear something that looks UUE, right? Okay. How about November 19th? Annual meeting, ding, ding, ding. Okay, a couple of points for UU Heaven on this one. Okay, thank you.
Janet? Shall I come up? Yes.
This is just a one-liner. Today is fourth Sunday. We're taking our final collection this year for Cambria's Anonymous Neighbors. So just keep that in mind when the offering plate comes around. Thank you.
Nancy?
Okay, I doubt it's going to be the first UUCC movie night, but one's coming up. It's been a long time, at least. If ever, next Saturday, so this coming Saturday, we're going to watch Just Mercy here, 7 o'clock. It's an award-winning film based on the true story of Brian Stevenson, who was a Ware lecturer a few years ago, and his fight to help people who are on death row and are innocent. But I guess, anyways, so be here next Saturday, this coming Saturday, 7 o'clock. Anybody in Zoom land? And it'd be kind of a potluck if you want to bring a dessert or treat or beverage to share, feel free. Okay.
Any more? I should have mentioned that the sale starts at 10 o'clock at my house, no earlier. And Randy, is there anybody in Zoom land with an announcement?
No, there isn't. Back to you.
Does Randy have an announcement? Randy, do you have an announcement?
Oh, I do have an announcement.
Are we having fun yet?
Good morning. I'm announcing that there are no more announcements. Oh, I have one more announcement. There will be a worship committee meeting tomorrow at 4:30 on Zoom. So all worship committee members, please be there. And anybody else who wants to join us, you're welcome to. Just send me an email and I'll send you the link. So tomorrow, 4:30 on Zoom, worship committee.
Thank you all. Next week, my old friend Ken Reed Brown, you remember Reverend Ken from Hingham, Massachusetts, will present Awakenings. Sharing together some of our personal and significant joys and concerns brings us closer as a faith community. We invite you to share the milestones that are deeply felt as a part of your personal life, express a gratitude, or perhaps offer an acknowledgement. But please be mindful and considerate of all who come to worship with us this morning. The collective flames of these candles embody all the joys and concerns which may have also gone unspoken today, but are also deeply felt in this community. There are two parts to this reading, to the first reading. Part one is an excerpt from A Whole New Mind, Why Right Brainers Will Rule the Future by Daniel H. Pink. Lawyers, accountants, radiologists, software engineers, that's what our parents told us to be when we grew up. But Mom and Dad were wrong. The future now belongs to a very different kind of person with a very different kind of mind. The era of left brain dominance and the information age that is engendered is giving way to a new world in which artistic and holistic right brain abilities mark the fault line between who gets ahead and who falls behind. That's the argument at the center of Daniel Pink's provocative and original book, which uses the two sides of the brain as a metaphor for understanding the contours of our times. As teaching artists, we believe in using the whole brain technique in the classroom, which is what Daniel Pink is advocating. Not being afraid to use your creative side. Everyone has a creative side. The only entity stopping that right brain activity is fear. In Charles Mackesy's book, The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse, the mole is talking to the boy and says, "Most of the old moles I know wish they had listened less to the fears and more to their dreams." Part two. It's not easy being green. And other things to consider. Author Jim Henson, whose birthday is also today. I spend a few minutes in meditation and prayer each morning. I find that this really helps me start the day with a good frame of reference. As part of my prayers, I thank whoever is helping me. I'm sure somebody or something is. I express gratitude for all my blessings, and I try to forgive the people that I'm feeling negative towards. I try hard not to judge anyone, and I try to bless everyone who is part of my life, particularly anyone with whom I'm having any problems. Let us now join in a time of meditation, of prayer, and of silence. Let us seek the quiet and the calm, laying aside our struggles. And in the silence, may there be a reverence in our hearts, a thankfulness within our spirit, and a deepened understanding of the meaning of our lives. Let us enter the stillness. When love and compassion are present in us and we send them outward, then that is truly prayer. Further, in sending love outward, we may notice a change in our own hearts. The second reading is an excerpt from Kimberly Baltzer, an inquiry concerning rainbows. When Kermit sings about his experience of being a frog in the world among others, all the lovers and the dreamers, he's being an existentialist. Existentialism is a philosophical movement and attitude that emphasizes the uniqueness of individual existence, describing the experience of this life lived in a world with others and how one uses their freedom of thought and action to make choices that all lead to the creation of their essence. The essential questions Kermit asks in the first verse consist of: 1, do we really have knowledge about rainbows or just beliefs? 2, what, if anything, lies at their end point? These questions reveal a debate between knowledge and belief. Kermit says he knows that those who believe rainbows are illusions with nothing to hide at their ends are wrong. What is the difference between knowing and believing it? The anthem today, I'm sorry, the song, second song, that, as you can guess, is Rainbow Connection by Paul Williams and Kenneth Asher.
We want you all to sing with us.
Do we want them to stand?
Do we want you to stand? Do we want them to stand, Mary Ann?
Yes, if you all stand and join us.
We're ready. 1, 2, 3. Why are there so many songs about rainbows? And what's on the other side? Rainbows are visions, but only illusions, and rainbows have nothing to hide. So we've been told, and some choose to believe it. I know they're wrong, wait and see. Someday we'll find it, the rainbow connection, the lovers, the dreamers, and me. Who said that every wish would be heard and answered when wished on the morning star? Somebody thought of that and someone believed it. sweet sound that called the young sailors. The voice might be one and the same. I've heard it too many times to ignore it. It's something that I'm supposed to be. Someday we'll find it, the rainbow connection, the lovers, the dreamers, and me. La di da di da da do, la la da 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 di da do.
I can't tell you how excited I was to do this. Thank you, Annie. Oh, boy. Even though he lost his strength. Ah. Yeah, when I needed it most, there was Louie, a puppet. Oh, that's what this talk is titled. To be delivered by my dear friend Annie, Miss Annie, as she's known. Puppetry and storytelling has taken Annie to many interesting places. In Japan, she worked with children, educators, and business professionals to tell and share their stories. Annie, with Louie and friends, worked with 1,500 to 2,000 children, pre-K and K, all over a 3-week period as a representative of the Phoenix Sister Cities program. Her friend Louie lives in a cactus condo in the Southwest desert, where many of his friends connect with him. In Monterey, California, Annie and Louie conducted a children's story writing class that was held every Friday evening at the Barnes & Noble bookstore. Louie would tell a story, give the children a topic, explain what they needed to make a story, then let them create. The children would then share their stories. We should be so lucky. In 1996, Annie received a letter from former First Lady Barbara Bush to acknowledge her efforts in literacy with children. Annie received the Wolf Trap Institute Silver Medallion Award for 2 audio tapes of music and activities for children. Now retired from being a regional HR director for national parks in California, Annie is a part-time Wolf Trap training coordinator and arts consultant for Scottsdale Center for the Arts. She's a master Wolf Trap teaching artist and an ASU teaching artist. Annie brings experience, knowledge, enthusiasm, and fun into the classroom and coaching new artists. She's a motivator with a positive attitude, aptitude, and passion for her work. Annie effectively uses the art of storytelling and puppetry to encourage creativity, imagination, critical thinking, and collaborative skills with children and adults. Louie once said that he was so happy to be a puppet, for he is able to put smiles on the children's faces, knowledge in their minds, and love in their hearts. I give you Annie.
Oh, I recruit a puppeteer whenever I can find one, and she was willing this morning. So, well, gracious, good morning. I am so excited to be here and to share my story about where I've gone with Louie, my puppet, yes, my rescuer. Before we start that, though, I'd like to give you one little bit of trivia, and that is with the Rainbow Connection. It was recorded by Jim Henson, who is the voice of Kermit, and it reached number 25 on the top Billboard of 100. It was also nominated for an Oscar for the Best Original Song. However, it was beaten out by Norma Rae's It Goes As It Goes. I'd never heard that song before. So I said, Alexa, play As It Goes, As It Goes. Whatever it is, play it. She played it, and I still have no idea what it was. In the mid-'80s, I had a devastating event that took place in my life. Well, it really took my self-esteem away, my self-confidence. I hit rock bottom. I was at an all-time low. The reality was I knew I'd be okay. I knew I would come out of it. I knew I was the only one that could do that. I just didn't know when or how that was going to happen. Well, I'm going to spare you any of the negativity And we're going to fast forward to October of that year. Every October, the Arizona Classic Thunderbird Club would go to Lake Havasu to be in the Columbus Day Parade. And so I thought, all right, it's time to dust it off, clean it up. I got behind the wheel of my little 57 Star Miss Blue Thunderbird, and I headed for Lake Havasu. I'd kind of forgotten how a morale builder this little car was for me, and so it was fun to drive there. Well, I was in the parade, and the parade was fun. It's always fun, but this year it was a little different. Well, someone had said, when you finish the parade, you need to go under the bridge because there's all kinds of festivities going on. So I strolled down under the London Bridge to find out what was going on. Don't look so puzzled. I did say London Bridge and Havasu. In 1962, London Bridge was indeed falling down. It was going into the Thames. It was sinking because it could not hold all of the increased traffic that was going across. So Robert McCullough from Havasu, a businessman, decided that he would buy the bridge and bring it to Arizona. So he put a bid in of $2 million. He won the bid, proceeded to spend another $7 million to disassemble the bridge and bring it to Arizona and reassemble the bridge. So interesting enough, maybe just for me, was that when the bridge was actually disassembled, I was living in England, and when it was reassembled, I was living in Arizona. I thought that was kind of cool. Anyway, he imagined the bridge being over Lake Havasu. He imagined it, he believed it, and he made it happen. It was kind of like the if I build it, they will come attitude. And they did, and we did, and it was amazing. So under the bridge, there were a lot of vendors and a lot of booths. There was art and jewelry and pottery. And all of a sudden, I saw one booth that caught my eye. It was puppets. Puppets. I'd never had a puppet in my life. Not even as a child had I had a puppet. Why was I stopping to watch puppets? But I couldn't look away. There were a couple of young kids that were looking at the puppets. They wanted to adopt a brown, shaggy puppet. So I continued to watch, and these children were amazing. They were so excited. They weren't talking to the vendor anymore. They were talking to the puppets. And I was just captivated by what was going on. So when they had adopted their brown, shaggy puppets, I went down to the vendor and I said, I noticed that your puppets are all brown and shaggy, except for that one that's over there in the corner, and it's all blue. He said, yeah, I know. He said, that poor guy. He's been with me for the last 3 shows, and nobody wants to have a blue puppet when all these other browns. I want him. I want to adopt him. I want to adopt him right now. The vendor was kind of going, okay, all right, we'll let you do that. And so he made me raise my hand and vow that I would take care of him. I would give him a good home, and I would make sure that he was happy. Absolutely, I will do that. So I took my blue puppet in my blue T-Bird and headed home. And so as we got home and I took him out of the car, I put this blue shaggy puppet on my arm. And I took an inanimate object and I brought it to life, kind of like Frosty the Snowman when he put his hat on and came to life with the children. And he was Louie. He was instantly Louie. I have no idea why, but I looked in those beautiful yellow eyes and he said, Louie. So that was his name. So as I began to sort of play around with Louie, I said, well, if I'm going to be a puppeteer, I should find out what puppeteers do and find out more about puppets. So I started to read more about puppetry, and the more I read, the more interested I got. It's kind of like delving into puppetryancestry.com. And so I continued to read and make a connection. And now, before I go any farther, I would like for you to stretch your arms up, reach up really high, as high as you can. Even those of you at home, if you can, reach as high as you can. Look up. Now, I want you to pull your imagination out of the sky, and I want you to put it over your head, over your body, all the way down to your toes. And I want you to keep that imagination all through the presentation. Now, since you have your imagination on, I think you can meet Louie. So when I take Louie into the classrooms, we usually do a whole production as far as presentation and putting on the glove, because he does have a leather mouth. And anytime I use him for a long period of time, this is a Sherry Lewis glove, by the way, for those of you who know Sherry Lewis. And it is sort of more of a ritual to say, well, this is a puppet, because with young children, they can get very afraid of large puppet. It's a puppet, it's not real, until it goes on my hand, because it is a hand puppet. Hi. Oh. Yeah, I know, you can move, but you can't talk, right? And because why? Oh, you need my voice. Okay, all right, fine. Then I will give you my voice and you can talk. All right. Well, hello, dudes and dudettes. I'm so glad to see. Wait a minute. Those are not my usual dudes and dudettes. Well, hey, but they're kind of cool looking. Are these our new friends? Yes, these are our new friends. Are you excited? Yes, I am so excited. Yay! Hello, friends. Well, a few of them said hello. Shall I try it again? Hello, friends. Yay! Well, this is a friendly group. I like them. But you told me I couldn't stick around very long because you have other things to talk about. Yes. Yes. Oh, you can't have all the attention all the time. Why not? All right. Well, you're going to go away. You're going to go back to your cactus condo, and we'll see you again soon. Bye. All right. So, hand puppets have been around for years and years and years. And I would venture to say I'm really in a room of puppeteers, because if you were honest, when the sun comes through and there's sunlight on the wall, there's a whole canvas that you just kind of feel like going, oh, I'm going to make a deer. I'm going to make an alligator. Oh, look at the butterfly or bird. Yeah, I have a feeling at one time or another, almost everybody has done that. Yeah, I see some head nodding. So your imagination's been working for a very long time, and hand puppets have been around for a very, very long time. The Muppet family is probably the oldest and most known for the hand puppets. Jim Henson was an absolute genius. He was way ahead of his time, but his puppets not only have one, but they have sometimes 2 and 4 people working a puppet. So they're all working in a very close space, and it calls for a lot of collaboration. So I found that there were most forms of puppetry started about 3,000 years ago, and usually started in China or India was the original belief. And they were often used in religious ceremonies. They were not used for entertainment. They were used for religious ceremonies and more serious things, which in Europe, they are still used for more serious things. In America, we're not quite as serious. Historians suspect that the ancient Egyptians were maybe the true birthplace of puppetry. And researchers have proven that in the Indian culture, puppetry as an art form has a philosophical significance. The number one spiritual text in Hinduism, when they're talking about the purpose of life and wisdom, they believe that God is a puppeteer and that he controls the universe with 3 strings. They have found puppets when they've excavated terracotta dolls with strings on them, and they've found them in the tombs of Egyptians. Well, Louie's ancestry proved to be very interesting and extensive, and there's so much more that goes with it. But knowing more about history, I'm beginning to feel kind of confident. I'm beginning to think I could be a puppeteer. I got this. So I took Louie to the church youth group. The kids absolutely loved him. And they connected to him. They would talk to Louie when they wouldn't talk to me. And I found when I started working with child psychologists that was very, very true too, that children will open up to a puppet where they will not open up to a parent or to actual adults. So I had a close friend that called, and she said, I was just watching this television show, and it was a Canadian teacher that quit teaching and plays the guitar and works with children. You play a guitar, you love children, you could do this. Yeah, okay. Hey, thanks for your vote of confidence. That ironically, that same afternoon, I had a friend who came in and met Louie. She said, oh, you know what? You guys belong to each other and you should be working with children. So the next thing I knew, I found myself at a conference in California for early childhood development. I said, I don't have credentials for early childhood development. And they said, it doesn't matter, just come on in. So there I met Fran Cohen, who was head of the Wolf Trap organization in Arizona. And she said, I need puppets, I need puppeteers. Let's talk as soon as I get back from the conference. I did, and I became a Wolf Trap artist. Now, those of you who do not maybe know what Wolf Trap is, it is a national park. It's in Vienna, Virginia, and it's right on the borderline of Virginia and Washington, D.C. It is the only national park that is solely dedicated to the purpose of performing arts. It's a wonderful, wonderful organization. And in the late 80s, it broke off into early childhood development and learning through the arts, or now it's better known as arts integration. So there are about 200 artists that are not only stateside, but we're in Singapore, Hawaii, all throughout the country. So there are only 200 artists. There are 20 that are master artists, one of which I am, and 25 affiliates. My first classroom for Wolf Trap was teaching a classroom with some inclusion, which meant that there were some children who had disabilities. Wow, I was kind of blown away with the reaction that these students had with Louie. Well, the stories began to build from the small boy who had not spoken out loud for 2 months, who came from the back of the room and came up to Louie and said, Louie, will you be my friend? As though he didn't have any other friends in the classroom. And of course said, absolutely, Luca. Meet me in the back of the room afterwards and we'll talk some more. Of course, it'll be Miss Annie's voice that helps us to talk. That's okay, isn't it? He said, I guess so. And then we had the little girl, 4 years old, that called 911 and started singing the song that, see, I told you I write songs too, that sang the song going, 911, 911, please dial it quick if you're in trouble or you're feeling sick. And then continued the rest of the song. And the dispatch is going, this must be a prank call, but kept listening because this was a 4-year-old child who had gotten that song, knew that there was trouble in the house. Her 14-year-old sister had gone into labor, was terrified. They were there by themselves. She had no one else. And this little girl didn't know what to do. The 14-year-old didn't know what to do. She was just devastated. So the 4-year-old continued to sing the song until the dispatch people got there. So the power of puppetry, the power of stories, the power of music, it is an alternative form of communication. Puppets talk, students listen. Louie began to adopt more friends. bless him. We were running out of room, so he invested in a cactus condo in the Southwest desert. And most people think that a saguaro cactus is a saguaro cactus, not Louie's. Louie's is different because Louie's cactus, well, with the help of Wendy Woodpecker, who bored some more holes in the side of it so that there'd be more rooms available to kind of like the Saguaron Desert Airbnb, except he doesn't charge. But this cactus condo is full of imagination, and it teaches children wonderful things in each of the rooms within the cactus condo. We've explored science and technology and math and environmental issues, etiquette, all kinds of things, all kinds of magical things, and music. And music is one of the major math forms that they use. So it's presented a lot of opportunities that came to me when I met this little blue shaggy puppet. And it came to me that I could present workshops for parents, universities, personal development for teachers, cultural exchange with Japan, Germany, and England. We set up a satellite program in England from Windermere, England to Windermere, Florida, and all with puppetry and storytelling. And we did a workshop for the University of Arizona Medical School, where we talked about where science meets the arts and the similarities between a surgeon and a puppeteer. And I think you might be surprised at the skill set that is required that is very similar between. We don't have a lot of time for that now. I'll come back. Anyway, that's not a threat. Okay, I gave a workshop in Stockton, California, and for parents. And one of the parents came up to me afterwards and said, so my daughter will not go to bed when she's supposed to go to bed. She keeps staying up later and later and later. I said, I just asked, who's in charge in your house? And she said, well, obviously the daughter is. And I said, all right, I'm going to give you a tool. So I said, I will give you Mr. Sandman. So you take Mr. Sandman, and when she's there and you want her to go to bed, you can go in and say, okay, I have something new. It only belongs to Daddy and to me. And it's not a toy, but I'm told that Mr. Sandman's in there and he'll tell the nighttime stories when you go to bed. Now, I don't know. It looks empty to me. I've never seen anything in there, but probably if you saw something, you would tell me, right? And of course, about that time, she's saying, Mommy, what? Oh, well, no, I'm serious. If you see something, you can let me know, but I'm sure because I haven't seen anything. And Mommy, what? So anyway, I said, well, I'm just going to take this and go off to bed and see if Mr. Sandman will come out. So of course, the daughter will probably follow you. Well, I got a note from her about 2 months later, and she said, thank you so much for Mr. Sandman. My daughter not only goes to bed on time now, but she comes to me and says, hey, Mommy, it's Mr. Sandman time, let's go. All right, so now I'm beginning to understand why I have this blue shaggy puppet and why he came into my life, because Mark Twain once said, the two most important days in your life are the day you were born and the day you find out why. I was finding out why, and it was so much fun. Okay, I have one more story for you, and that's about Jason. Jason was in one of my fall classrooms, and he had been in a family that we felt was kind of abused, but his teacher could not confirm that. She couldn't pinpoint it down, and so she watched him very carefully, but there was still a lot going on. Well, when I'd leave a classroom after a residency, I would say, all right, now remember, even on your darkest day, if you're feeling really down, your mom's yelling at you because you didn't make your bed, your brother and sister is tormenting you, The dog even growled at you, for heaven's sakes, and you're feeling like you're just really dark corner alone. Remember, there's always someone who loves you, and that's you. You love yourself. And of course, Louie loves you. So, at Christmas time, my parents came to Arizona to visit. My mother had a heart attack within the ICU. My father and I came back from the hospital. The telephone, landline, the telephone was ringing. And I ran in and I picked it up because I thought it might be the hospital. And this little voice says, "Is Louie there?" "May I tell him who's calling?" "This is Jason." "Hi, Jason, this is Miss Annie. How are you? It's so good to hear your voice. I want to talk to Louie." "Jason, you know that if you hear Louie's voice, that's Miss Annie. I want to talk to Louie." Very insistent. So I said, fine. I put Louie's voice on and I said, please know that's Miss Annie's voice. He said, "Louie, what did you get for Christmas?" "Oh, I'll tell you, but you tell me what you got for Christmas." "I only got one present, Louie." "Oh, what is it?" "Just a t-shirt." "Well, what color is it?" "That's my favorite color." "Does it have a picture on it?" "Yeah, it's got this picture and it." "Oh, I'd love to have a shirt with that color and that picture on it. That's so cool." And he said, "I only got one present too, Jason. I got this red and white striped candy cane. It was so good. I licked it and then I licked it again. And then I took a bite of it. Then I took another bite of it. And you know what? I ate the whole thing on Christmas Day. So I don't have anything, but you have a t-shirt that you can wear all year long. That is so cool." Well, it got very, very quiet. And I wasn't sure what to do. Finally, he came back and he said, "Louie, did you mean it when you said you loved me?" "Absolutely." And he hung up. I called his teacher on Monday and said, "This is what transpired. Please keep an eye on him." She said, "They pulled him out of school on Friday and I have no idea where he is." We went through, how did he get my number? She had a pencil from a workshop that I had presented that had Louie and Friends and the phone number. This 4-year-old was resourceful enough to say, "There's somebody who loves me and I'm going to call that number because I know somebody there loves me." So I worried at first and I thought, he was resourceful enough to call. He's going to be okay. He's going to be just fine. So according to Mark Twain, that's why I'm here. So I would like to very quickly, now that I've let you hear what the story is, I want to give you a quick visual of how this comes about. Miss Annie and Louie, when I worked with Frank Oz, he said, whenever giving out autographs, no one's asked me for one yet, but he said, when giving out autographs, you always put your name first, never give the puppet top billing. We talked about the Muppets, and we talked about more than one person creating the puppet. So you have to have somebody working the head and and then you have the very simple thing. I walked into Walgreens and I said, that sock should be on my hand, not on my foot. So I gave it a couple of eyes and some hair, and that's Sandy from San Fran. We talked about the shadow puppetry, and it got a little more sophisticated than just making hand positions on the wall. That's me in Japan with showing the seniors at the school, high school, that was taking the early childhood development classes, the old woman who swallowed a fly, and of course the mouth moves up and down so that the shadows go in and down. On the other side, you have the Asian form of shadow puppetry, which you have the one person that's operating 14 rods on one side. It's absolutely amazing what they do. And it's amazing when you're watching it from the other side. So it's beautiful. The Banraku puppets, I had an opportunity to work with the Banraku puppeteer in Japan, and That's part of the skills between the surgeon and the puppeteer, because it takes almost 20 to 25 years to be able to be called a master von Recruit puppet master, because you have to learn how to work the feet, you have to learn how to work the legs, you have to learn how to work the arms, and you have to learn how to work the head. And several years ago, the head alone was $250,000. And it's very expensive, and you can see the puppeteers behind are all dressed in black, so they're secondary to what's going on the stage. And once they start presenting, you forget that they're puppets. You absolutely forget they're puppets. I watched a origami presentation, and when it's done professionally, it's pretty amazing. String puppets or marionettes can be there's a group out of California, Huber, that has some most fantastic string puppets. But you have, sort of the comical ones, you have the animated ones. These are the ones I use in the classroom. The dog is about this high. The children, it takes about 3 kids to be able to manipulate it, sometimes 4. But that's, again, talking about collaborative skills and fine skills, gross skills, motor skills. And I think, puppets from every culture. I have puppets from Norway, from Japan, and so forth. But you can see we have some Hispanic, we have Native American. The little guy in the right corner, I watched them make him when I was in Paris, and then bought him at the end of the week. He's just cute. But the kids relate more to the hand puppets than they do to the string puppets. This is Carol Spinney, who passed away last year. And as I said, I had the good fortune to do workshops with he and Frank Oz in California. And of course, Carol Spinney was Big Bird, so amazing. Louie had a photo op in Japan, and by the Himeji Castle. And if you ever watch Shogun or the television series of Shogun, it was filmed there in the Himeji Castle. He was also asked to drive the Indianapolis pace car at the Indy 500. And that was a little bit tricky because his legs wouldn't quite reach the pedal. So we had to put blocks and build it up a little. But he did a great job. It was very safe. So, and this one, if you look very closely, Kermit wasn't feeling well, so he went to the doctor. If you look closely at the X-ray, the doctor, you'll understand why the doctor is saying, "Have a seat, Kermit. What I'm about to tell you might come as a shock." And fortunately, Kermit is feeling much better now, as you can see today. And again, thank you. Keep your imagination and your childlike spirit always. Don't let that childlike spirit get away. It basically is just showing you the things that we had. So the very last thing I would like for you to do, very quickly, because I know I've run out of time, a long time, sorry. I'd like for you to stand up, please. All right, now I want you to close your eyes very tight. Open them up. I want you to turn around slowly, completely around, so that you've done a 360 turn and end up where you started. Now, I want you to take your right hand, take it across your chest, and pat 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Now, when you leave here today and someone says, "How was the session?" you can honestly say, "Well, it brought me to my feet. It opened my eyes. It turned me around completely, and it touched my heart." Thank you so much for letting me be with you. Okay. Take my stuff.
The morning offering will now be given and received. Please remember, we are a self-sustaining congregation and provide all financial resources for many ministries. We recognize the spiritual value of generosity and invite you to participate. If you are viewing this service remotely, please use one of the methods shown on the screen. Thank you.
Our thanks for all gifts given and received for the work of this community. Oh, oh, oh.
Now please stand and sing our thanks. Please.
That's okay, remember we switched.
We switched, yeah.
You're
Oh, that's right. You don't have.
Excuse me.
We're singing the anthem now. The anthem.
Come with me and you'll be in a world of pure imagination. Take a look and you'll see into your imagination.
We'll begin with a spin, traveling in the world of my creation. What you'll see will defy explanation.
If you want to view paradise, simply look around and view it. Anything you want to do it. You to change the world, there's nothing to it. There is no life I know to compare with pure imagination.
Living here, you'll be free if you truly wish to be.
If you want to view paradise, simply look around and view it. Anything you want to do it. Want to change the world, there's nothing to it. There is no life I know to compare with your imagination. Living there, you'll be free if you truly wish to be.
Thank Jan for that beautiful arrangement that she put together for us. Thank you, Jan. As we prepare to extinguish the chalice, let us recite the valediction. We extinguish the flame of this chalice, and we know that the light of truth and love and the warmth of this community go with us until we meet again. Closing words. Annie?
And while you're doing that, I'm just going to give one last word that Louie opened my heart and minds to the world of imagination and created some wonderful realities as a result. Ready? From the boy, the mole, the fox, and the horse. The greatest illusion, said Mole, is that life should be perfect. Always remember, you matter. You're important and you are loved, and you bring to this world things that no one else can. May peace and harmony be with you in every precious moment of your life.